Facebook and Twitter have declared open war. It's a censorship war. War for your mind, war for control. Time to wake up, people. Now, before we get into the discussion, I just want to thank everyone for watching this channel. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks. In the short time that I started this channel, according to my analytics, I've had over 10,000 views in the last just short 2 months. So thank you for helping the early success. But I do want to say, according to the analytics, about 90% of those 10,000 plus views have been non-subscribers. So if you're watching this, you're listening, and you like the information, you peep it, I do want to encourage you to please subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell so you can get notified of my latest content. Your subscriptions really help the growth and my ability to put out more and more content to get this information out there. For my subscribers already, I want to thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button and share. And don't forget, everyone, to comment as well. I want to get that engagement. I don't care if you disagree with me. I want to know your thoughts, because we really need to have these conversations in order for the country and for the world, for that matter, to really move forward in a positive direction. Let's get into it. All right, so you may have heard the big story recently that's been many have been trying to suppress for so long, and that is the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden scandal, the latest October surprise. Basically, what happened is apparently Hunter Biden sent his computer with or laptop with confidential information to a computer shop in Delaware, his father's home state, to get fixed, but it was never picked up. At some point, the FBI got their hands on it a little over a year ago and started an investigation that they've just actually been sitting on. I'm not going to lie, the methods of it being released after the FBI have been sitting on it and really doing nothing about it for the last year are somewhat duplicitous, but essentially Rudy Giuliani's people knew of this investigation, got their hands on some documents as part of an email, as part of the investigation that was removed from the computer, and released it and shared it with the New York Post. The New York Post then did an article detailing the levels of corruption with Hunter Biden and the Burisma scandal, contradicting some of the information and the things that Joe Biden has said, where Joe Biden in the past said he had no information and or never talked with Hunter regarding his business dealings in Burisma. And yet, according to the information taken from Hunter Biden's own computer, it shows email communications between Hunter and Burisma and other officials asking for a meeting with Joe Biden, then vice president, and those meetings being arranged. Also in the email, it alludes to the idea that Hunter Biden will not split 50-50 the money he's earning with his kids, unlike his own father, i.e. Joe Biden. And the emails reveal, and we already knew a lot of this, is that he was making over $50,000 to $84,000 a month from these business dealings and or transactions. And if Joe Biden was getting half of that, then clearly he was knee deep in it. He was heavily involved. It really shows a lot of levels of corruption. Not to mention, a lot of these emails suggest blatantly, communications that Hunter Biden was being used for his position and or access to Joe Biden. I digress. Bottom line is, when the story broke, many on the right, of course, then tried to run with this story on social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and both companies have gotten together and said, nah, we ain't having it. They have actively started censoring and removing any and all information and or links pertaining to the New York Post article. I wanted to put extra emphasis on the New York Post because this is a legit big media outlet and or journalistic paper, reputable. It's not some low-level journalist and or social media and or an individual like me just trying to speak the truth but with no journalistic credentials. This is a legit journalist paper. And Facebook and Twitter's responses have been along the range of, yes, we're removing this content until our independent fact checkers can verify this information, to we can't share this information because it was obtained illegally and or without the consent of the individual, to which is the subject matter of the discussion. Wake up, people. You are in a rigged system. They are actively trying to control what information you receive, control what you know.
The greatest form of control is when you think you're free, when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bars, so you think you're free. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Ignorance is a prison that they're trying to keep the people in. And ignorance is still a choice. However, you have forces like Facebook and Twitter that are trying to make it so that it's no longer a choice by censoring and blocking what information gets to you. They're trying to control the narrative, trying to control what you see. If they can control what you know, what you think, what you see, they've got you. This is active election tampering. And, they've been able to get away with a lot because they have been able to act under the guise that they are not a publisher. By actively controlling what content is on their platforms, they're actively publishers and really need to be controlled and or reined in by the government, in which luckily there has been a subpoena from Congress now for CEOs of Facebook and Twitter to now testify for recent election tampering. They're seriously trying to control you, control your perspective, control who it is you're mad at, who you should focus your vitriol and anger towards, and who should be portrayed favorably. And or they are going through extreme measures to make sure that they protect their person and make sure that you do and act in just the way that they want you to. This isn't the first time that they went on a big book burning and or censorship. In fact, what motivated me to start my channel 2 months ago was the first big censorship that really shook me to the core. I can't really talk about it in great detail because YouTube is complicit in this censorship, which was that of the frontline doctors of America, who spoke on the steps of Washington back in, I believe, early July, and their video went viral regarding what they thought were misinformation being put out to the American public, and they wanted to inform the public otherwise of the facts according to what they've seen themselves and their own practices. But I guess the social media giants of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube decided, you know what, we know more than these actual practicing doctors. We're not going to allow any information that counters what the narrative that we want to be told. And they went on a censorship burn. I can't even say too much because I don't want YouTube to delete and or not share this video right here and or try to destroy my brand new channel. But because, the narrative always was, listen to the healthcare professionals, listen to these doctors, not the person you went to school, to high school with. And then these doctors shared the narrative contrary to what they wanted to push out. And they went on a censorship burn. Why? Because it challenges the narrative that they're trying to put out there to control the masses, control what it is you believe, control what you know. Have you ever thought and recognized how 86% of the media are registered Democrats? And then put it together how over 86% of all coverage of Republican candidates, regardless of who it is. This is not new with Donald Trump. They did the same thing with Mitt Romney, Rand Paul, John McCain when he was running for president. And they only glorified John McCain and Mitt Romney when they went against Trump and or sided with the Democratic Party. And we all know the images and their imagery and the condensation they put against George W. Bush. When you see the negative coverage swaying equally with the voter registration of these journalists, it's so obviously biased and tilted one way to get you going in one direction, thinking a certain way. I think Laura Logan actually said it better, or put it best in this here interview she did a little over 2 years ago.
Does everyone listening agree with that? What's our position on that? I agree with you. It's true. Why? Why can I say that with certainty? Well, first of all, because I've been part of this for all my life. I'm 47 now, and I've been a journalist since I was 17. And the media everywhere is mostly liberal, not just in the US. But in this country, 85% of journalists are registered Democrats. So that's just a fact, right? No one's registering Democrats when they're rarely a Republican. So the facts are on the side of what you just stated. Anyone who's ever been to Israel and been to the Wailing Wall has seen that the women have this tiny little spot in front of the wall to pray, and the rest of the wall is for the men. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a great representation of the American media, is that, in this tiny little corner where the women pray, you've got Breitbart and Fox News and, a few others. And then from there on, you have CBS, ABC, NBC, Huffington Post, Politico, whatever, right? All of them. And that's a problem for me, because even if it was reversed, if it was, mostly, right, on the right and a little bit, that would also be a problem for me. We've abandoned our pretense, or at least the effort, to be objective today. The former executive editor of the New York Times has a book coming out, Jill Abramson, and she says we would do, dozens of stories about Trump every single day, and every single one of them was negative. She said, we have become the anti-Trump paper of record. Well, that's not our job. That's a political position. That means we've become political activists, in a sense. And so I say, well, Fox is going to do all the positive stuff. But this is the problem that I have. There's one Fox. Yeah. There's one Fox. Yeah. And there's many, many, many more organizations on the left. So if you say, well, people, they're lying about this, and there's propaganda and whatever, and they're pushing their viewpoint. Oh, well, the other side does that too. Yes. Both sides do terrible things. Both sides lie. Both sides manipulate. Both sides, push their point of view. But the problem is that the weight of all of these organizations on one side of the political spectrum, when you turn on your computer or you walk past the TV or you see a newspaper headline, in the grocery store, if they're all saying the same thing, the weight of that convinces you that it's true. Yeah. You don't question it because everyone is saying it. Yeah. And unless you seek out Breitbart on your computer, you're probably not even going to know what the other side is saying, right?
It's a fight for control. The war has begun. The gong has already long since sounded. You are in the midst of a battle for your mind, body, and soul. And that's not me speaking hyperbole, really. They are going through desperate lengths to control what you think, how you believe, what is real, what is racist, what is acceptable, what is considered offensive. They're trying to control what information you have, what is right information, what is wrong information, what is science, what is not science, who is reputable doctors, who are doctors or medical professionals you shouldn't be listening to. And they're getting really desperate because we are living in an age of information highway, the internet. And though they're doing their best to try to restrict that information, at least on social media platforms, which pretty much have a monopoly on the information you receive. Again, when Facebook, Twitter, and even sometimes YouTube collaborate in the censoring process, it's really hard for you to get your information anywhere else, especially since Google owns YouTube. So Google is then also going to be complicit. Twitter is manipulating their algorithms to let you see what they want to be trending and will suppress other things that are actually being tweeted out in higher volumes. Now, when I say that we're living in a rigged system and a lot of people don't even know it, I'm not talking about or not limited to just cheating. But I'm not just talking about rigging elections and or cheating in order to win. No, that's not what I'm getting at, and don't try to conflate it and or mischaracterize it. When I say the system is rigged, I mean the board is rigged in such a way to favor a certain outcome. When you control so many facets of society, when you control the educational system and you're molding these minds from childhood all the way to young adulthood, you're trying to control how they think just through the educational system. Then when you control the media, they blatantly control the social media and controlling what information you hear, what news you hear, what information you're not allowed to hear, and what information is deemed unreliable, untrue. They're trying to control every aspect of it. And then they also control the entertainment industry.
You can persuade people that what they see with their eyes is what there is to see. You can't, because they'll laugh in the face of an explanation that portrays the bigger picture of what's happening, and they have.
They control it all. Again, educational system in the universities. They control the media and journalistic news that you hear. They control the entertainment industry and these celebrities who do have a lot of influence because they're treated like demigods. The whole narrative is swayed in one direction for one outcome. So it's really no surprise why a lot of us think the way we think. My video, I just wanted to put it out there. I want to know what your thoughts are. Please let me know what you think in the comment section, whether you agree, disagree. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you like this information. Share it, and don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can get notified of my latest content. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks, and I'm out.